Welcome to another episode of I AM María Podcast, a space where we explore the impact stories that inspire us to be who we are today, showing how our personal decisions and tools shape our lives. Today's episode is special because sometimes the hardest battles we fight are the ones that no one else can see. We grew up believing that strength means survival, that we have to keep pushing, keep providing, keep holding out all together. But what happens when strength becomes or makes you feel exhausted? What happens when you don't want to be strong anymore? Today, I'm sitting down with Britianna, a woman whose journey of resilience, survival, and healing, it's a powerful and it is heartbreaking as well. But through all, she had to learn how to heal while still fighting for a better future, not for herself, but now for her son too. In this conversation, we talk about breaking generational cycles, what healing really looks like, and the hardest lesson of all, learning that we don't have to be strong all the time. So if you ever feel tired of carrying the weight of your past, if you ever feel like you had to be strong for too long, this episode is for you. Britianna, thank you so much. I am really happy to have met you. You were part of this incredible journey. That day when we met, I was like, this beautiful woman is being the stylish of Maria in that moment. And I love every single second that I spent with you, starting from the day I connected and I look out for your services. Thank you for being here and for telling us your story.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I had no idea that this was going to end up going down this road, but hey, here we are. I'm so glad everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. And I want to start learning a little bit more about you. And my first question to you is, who is Britianna?
Who is Brittianna? Britianna is a mom. I feel like that's the biggest thing because that's what keeps me going. And I feel like my identity now revolves around my son. I've always wanted to be a mother, so I feel like everything in my life that I've done is to right the wrongs of my own mother, and do the best that I absolutely can to raise my son to where he doesn't have to go out into the adult world and heal, to where he can go out into the adult world and conquer whatever he wants to conquer. Without traumas from the past delaying his progress for years, having to retrain your brain on what you were taught as a child. So I feel like my identity is being a mother, being a business owner, being an artist, and survival.
I love that. I love that. You're such a strong woman and beautiful. I follow your content and everything you do. I remember even you were telling me about that trip that you did in Paris as an artist and working. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more later, but that's a way of dreaming, you know. And I want to take into important decisions that have led you to the life that you have today and the person that you are today. So if I can ask any 1 to 3 decisions, important decisions, what are those?
So I'll get deep quick. There's 3 textbook responses to trauma that I've learned from psychologists I've talked to. And it's either you result to coping mechanisms, drugs, alcohol, that you are suicidal, you end your life because you can't handle the pain, or you use the pain as fuel to motivate your success. And I feel like even with my family alone, there's 6 siblings between us, and I feel like it's been 50-50 with the decisions. My oldest 2 siblings turned out really well, successful. They know how to cope with our childhood and how we were raised. I'm sure the 2 that haven't, that are still living the same lives, one was in and out of jail for drugs, and one just, they still live in the same town that we grew up in, and they just don't have the mentality. I'm sure that they're not going to even hear this podcast, so sorry if you do, but 2 didn't do well. And then one of my brothers actually passed away. He got hit by a drunk driver when I was 21. And then me, I feel like I am like this middle tier of, sometimes I battle. I've had issues with alcohol. And luckily I am one that also uses the fuel for fire. So no matter what happens in my life, no matter ill coping mechanisms I have, like, I still have the drive to do better. I don't want to be what I was born into. And so that, I feel like that's a huge decision you have to make, is how are you going to handle, what path are you going to go down when you experience these traumas? Second decision would be to not listen to my family with having a regular job, and to start my own business and start my LLC and venture out on my own. And then third decision would be, even though I tried for 4.5 years with my ex-husband to conceive, we didn't. And then I ended up getting pregnant out of the blue, not planning, 2 years later. And I had the decision on, do I keep this child or do I not? Because I know that the father is not going to be reliable. I'm not going to have any of the experiences I ever wanted with pregnancy or motherhood. And my choice was to have my child, knowing that I'm going to have to do it alone.
Very strong woman.
It's hard to like get into those stories and then still remember what question I'm answering.
Yeah, well, I try to let you drive us into your journey, and that's why I kind of ask specific questions, but also, so that we can build a story. So if you ever feel like you want to ask again the question, feel free, but otherwise just let it flow, because it's about you. So right now, of course, to take decisions and hard decisions in life, like to either go into a positive scenario, or removing yourself from a negative scenario, you need a toolbox, that was with you at that moment, and that continues to be there with you. What is that toolbox that Britianna has, and that is still, evolves with her?
That is the biggest obstacle that I've had, because I didn't have a toolbox. I don't feel like I knew how to solve anything. I don't really feel like I've had the best role models, even though they tried to be. So I feel like a lot of the things I've had to sit with myself in my room by myself, crying, identifying, how do I pull myself out of this? What do I have to do? Because the people around me can't offer me that. So yeah, it's been self-discovery and figuring out what works for me, and learning that everyone is just learning at their own pace. And I feel like even if you ask for guidance, sometimes it can be poor judgment.
Yeah, yeah. And let's dive a little bit into your childhood, Britiana. You know, our childhood experiences often shape who we are, who we become, and whatever we realize it or not, these are lessons that either come from struggle, others come from love, and these moments really, you know, define us. So looking back into your childhood, what were the biggest lessons you learned, both from, you know, painful, but also from those that shaped you?
I feel like the lessons that I feel like the lessons that I was taught as a child was pretty much everything not to do in life. And so it gave me guidance on how to actually pursue the things I do want, because they showed me, well, you did that and that didn't work out. So what can we do to get to where we want? Yeah, I don't I don't really know other than that. I feel like that is the lesson.
Well, and it's usually, I mean, for me, this is a very special episode because when I've been talking to to the speakers that are coming. So I was saying that usually the stories that, you know, you hear or the ones that are being told are the ones that you have a toolbox or you have opportunities, or the whole the home where you grew up was full of opportunities for you. So being clear, and I'm trying to put myself in that situation where you see yourself into like, I'm not gonna get this here, but I have to like get out. That's such a strong decision that not everybody, you know, will be able to really recognize that pattern and really have the resilience and the strength to say, you know, I need to get out there. And I know you work in multiple jobs in your early 20th, so that just to kind of survive or to get out there and to look for the opportunities that you wanted it. But I'm sure there was a point where you realized that survival wasn't enough. It more than being there, or more than just one job, just to get where, you know, you are right now. So that's where you see that there's a difference between surviving and truly living.
Yeah. So I guess I'll give the whole rundown to make it easy for people to grasp the traumas I'm talking about and how I kind of bounced around households. I was taken away from my mom by Children's Services when I was 9 years old. Um, there there were times, like I remember the caseworker coming to pick me up from school to bring me to monitored visitation with my mom, and she would be all dressed up and putting on a show that she is this good put together mother, when that was not the case. They placed me with my grandmother, luckily, because she was stable, she had a house. But I wasn't nurtured at all. I kind of was just put in a room. They didn't send me to counseling. They didn't, mental health wasn't talked about then. So they didn't know what to do with me. Here, you're in a safe house now. Cool. Let's just see how you adjust. But I felt like that was awful for me because I only had one friend at that point. And it was a girl down the street, but she was younger than me. And so I wasn't getting like the stimulation that I needed for my age. And I was also just put there to be an introvert. And I think that's why I'm such an introvert now. So placed with my grandma. And then when I was 15, My sister is 13 years older than me. She's the oldest and I'm the youngest, and there's 4 boys in between. So she had a house down in Orlando, and my nephew was 2 or 3 at the time. And so they transferred custody over to my sister. And literally the weekend that my sister was there with the U-Haul packing up my stuff to move me, we got a call from Cleveland Clinic that my father had a seizure. And we found out that he had terminal lung cancer. And they said that he had 6 months to a year to live. And I had asked him, or I know that I asked him, I was only 15 at the time, do you still want me to move? And he said yes. And I assume that my sister and my oldest brother and my grandma all had the discussion with him on if they wanted me to move as well. And they didn't want me to see him die. So they moved me. And 6 months later, he passed away. And I feel like that was the biggest trauma, was losing my dad, because in my head, he was the good parent, even though he didn't have custody of me because he worked from sunrise to sunset because he was a roofer. He was the kind parent. He never yelled at me. He was sweet. He would give someone the shirt off his back. He was so kind. And I remember my mother, when I was packing up the bag to go to the Cleveland Clinic with my sister, we were getting ready to drive over, and she looked at me, and I remember looking up at her, and she said, "You don't need him, you have me." And that clicked in my head, everything that she had ever done to me and my family, because even though I was taken away from her, she still hung out at my grandma's house. We were still in contact, like still trying to be a part of each other's lives. But when she said that, I have, and it sounds awful, but I have hated her since. And there's been times in my life where she's tried to reach back out, and I've tried to communicate with her. And when I was pregnant, I tried to reach back out as well and try to mend that relationship. But she is a narcissist, and she would say something to get under my skin. And I decided that it's better to just cut ties. And that is the toxic cycle of my life, is picking male narcissist as my partner because I am used to the chaos and the people pleasing and what can I do to make you love me, and why aren't you treating me right? I have just been used to that. And now with the father of my child, it took me years to get out of the trauma bond, because the person that is hurting you is also the only person that you want to love you. Like, why are you hurting me? Love me, love me, love me. And then when they do, you get stuck on that high, and then they go back to the cycle of abuse. So it took me years to realize I don't need that in my life. How do I get out of this? And it helped because people started becoming more aware of personality disorders. And I didn't even know the term narcissist when I first met him until I did. And then I started realizing all the characteristics that come with it. And I'm like, he's doing that. And I didn't even know that he was manipulating me that way, or he's sucking me into a conversation and I'm raising my cortisol levels. And then, did you know that it takes you 7 hours to calm back down after your cortisol spikes like that when you get in an argument?
Wow.
So those are my struggles. That's what I've been through. And into my adult life, creating my own toxicity, because I have had to literally reprogram my brain on what is actually normal on my own, because nobody put tools in my toolbox. I had to figure it all out on my own. So that's
Wow.
the story.
Wow. And yeah, it's true, the cycles we experience in childhood repeat themselves in our adult relationships. So, Britiana, when was that turning point in breaking you free? When was that moment, or when you realize that, I can't do this anymore. I can be on this toxic relationship as an adult, because I want to heal.
I really had so many conversations with my sister. My sister is my primary source of support. So I've had so many conversations with her over the years where we'll break up, I feel free, but then he reels me back in and I'm like, well, maybe I thought in my head, how can I actually make it work with him? Like, I know his personality type. I know what's wrong with him. How can I manage my emotions to where I don't let it drain me or affect me? And the answer is you can't. You can't. They literally will push you and push you and push you and push you until you break. And then they'll record you when you're breaking. So it got to the point where I wanted to make it work because of Forrest. I wanted to have that family because, again, like, I wanted the perfect family life. That's why I waited so long to have a child. That's why I tried so hard with my ex-husband. But I realized I have traumatic memories from when I was 3 years old. I remember things 3 years old. So when he got to the point or the age that I knew he would start remembering things, arguments, the way his father treats me, seeing me depressed, seeing me crying in bed, I realized that I have to end it. How am I going to break free of this? And now I thought that breaking free would be the hardest part, but now the hardest part has been co-parenting with a narcissist who, even though you're in no contact and you only talk about your son, that's not even an option because they talk about everything. They want to be involved in your personal life. They want to try to wreck your relationships. So now it's come to the point where I've had to completely cut him off. And now I'm entering that journey of actual no contact because I don't want my son to be exposed to the abuse, or the manipulation, or my son just being supply for his dad. And even when his dad communicates with me, oh, Britianna, he loves me so much. He misses me. I know he misses me. Instead of saying, oh my God, this is breaking me. I really miss my son. I can't do anything without him. He literally words it as he misses me. He loves me. And I'm like, that's because you only love him for how much he loves you. You only see him because you want that unconditional love from somebody. You wouldn't even do whatever it takes to make him happy or to take care of him because you're not. And the narcissistic abuse from a parent lives with you so long. So I don't even want my child exposed to it. Because if I'm 37 and I'm still working on myself and reprogramming my brain, why would I want to inflict that on my son?
Yeah, definitely. Britianna, I know you mentioned that you have tried to reconnect it with your sister, with your family, with your mother. I understand that you have tried different techniques to make relationships better. That was with your partner, with your family. But then sometimes we don't get that response that we deserve or that we want or that we think a normal person will have. So I am sure you have gotten some of those responses. How do you process that? And what does it really look for you, especially healing, from that type of response?
So I'll give you the example of when I was trying to rebuild a relationship with my mother. She couldn't understand why I wouldn't want her in my life. And she tried to guilt me and say, you're going to miss me when I'm dead. And I'm like, but you're already dead to me. I've already detached so much. I've already mourned the loss of you and my dad. at the same time. I wrote her an email of all of my memories that I had of her, all of the traumas that I saw. And I said, you have these memories. I don't want them anymore. And she's 30 years older than me. So when you get this email and you know that you were a blackout alcoholic, you could say, I don't remember those things, but I know that I am capable of doing those things. So let me apologize to my daughter, who I've traumatized and who has had to heal from me. Instead, her response was, it makes me sick to my stomach that you would make up these things. And I responded with, this is exactly why I can't have a relationship with you, because you make me sick to my stomach. Even hearing your voice makes me sick to my stomach. So I had the release of telling her everything that I remember. She can't take accountability because she can't self-reflect. And I had to say, okay, I'm never going to get an apology. I'm never going to get, oh, I could have done, I'm so sorry that I even exposed you to that. None of that. So you just have to, okay, we're just going to move on with our lives. What else? I can't sit here and cry every day. And so I told her, leave me alone. Do not contact me anymore. Let me be what you couldn't be. And she was in the beauty field when I was little. On my intro page on my website, the about me says I have a home video of when I was 2.5 years old, going through her makeup basket, telling her where everything went, getting mad at her for not holding the mirror straight while I was putting on mascara at 2.5. So my coping mechanism was taking the beauty that I saw in her, what she liked to do, how she liked to get done up and present herself. I took that and I made a whole empire off of it. So this is why I'm telling her, let me be what you couldn't be. Your traumas held you down. You dealt with it by getting blackout drunk and crying and not making anything of your life. And let me be the motivation to motivate everybody else to get up and do it, because you can do something better. You can be what you want to be. The first year that I started my business, I got published in a magazine, Weddings Unveiled, and I had my sister and my grandma go to Barnes and Noble and flip to the page with my name in it. And they were crying and they were like, we should have just let you do what you wanted to do straight out of high school. And I'm like, yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I mean, you took your passion into being in a magazine. Like, no, not many people can do that. And I say congratulations in a way from, to cheer you up and to like go Britianna, because that is amazing. I'm here to support and to tear up for you. And then on the other hand, I'm also like, I know your relationship was complicated with your mother, and you're kind of, making now a war into makeup artist. Does that connection, or did that connection to you ever feel healing, or did it bring more questions?
It was my healing. When I'm doing a session and I zone out, you're literally my therapy session. Me playing with your makeup and your hair is my therapy for the day. I can control what I'm doing when I'm doing your hair and makeup. I'm making something beautiful and I'm making someone feel beautiful. So that alone is my therapy. I've done production work. I've done Housewives of Atlanta. I've done commercial shoots. But it's not satisfying to me. I like doing more milestone events like personal photo shoots, weddings, engagement shoots, senior portraits, something where someone's going to look at themselves and be like, wow, I've never looked this good. Thank you so much, where they appreciate what you're doing. But yeah, hair and makeup has been my therapy and my way to zone out from the real world and just focus on something that I can control. I can make something beautiful. Watch me.
Yeah. Was Does this therapy teach you something about yourself that maybe you have never realized before?
I feel like I beat myself up a lot emotionally because I'm such a perfectionist, and I am mad at myself for allowing demons to come out and kind of be a bump in the road, a hurdle, a pothole, a mountain in the road that I have to jump over. But when a client meets me and they're like, "Oh my God, I love your aura. Oh my God, you're such a great person. Oh my gosh, you're so soothing." I have reviews that say I'm the calm in the storm for wedding days. Um, and making someone feel good, I know that I'm using my gift to heal someone or to make someone have a better day that can make them have another better day, because when you get your pictures back, you're also happy. So it's like a ripple effect. So I feel like no matter how mad I am at myself for my downfalls, that is the thing that picks me back up, is I am a good person. I am doing good. I am using my gift to help other people.
And that is so nice that you have a work that reminds that. I mean, that reminds you that every day that you're beautiful, um, and that you have a purpose in life with being an artist. I was so happy, and I'm still. I smile every time I see the pictures. I'm like, I will
Okay.
never. I'm not capable of doing that. So that is amazing, and you speak so much about becoming a mother, and kind of leaving the past, even though it's difficult, right? Because it's your life, but looking in the future, and looking that you are amazing, that you're beautiful, that you have purpose, that you have a son. How did becoming a mother change your perspective on breaking generational cycles and really living life now and in the future?
So I love being present with my son. I am so blessed that I was able to start my own business, so I could have the flexibility in my schedule to be home and present with him. I am huge on emotional regulation and making him aware of his feelings. And everyone that meets him is always like, "Oh my God, he is so good." Like, he's so emotionally regulated, he's balanced, he's happy. Um, and I love that I've been able to do that. And I really hope that it sticks for as long as possible before he turns into a hormonal mess when he's a teenager. But um, even moments where he hates mornings, I hate mornings. He gets it from me clearly. But when we're getting ready and he's having a meltdown and he yells at me about something, and he'll come back when we get in the car and he's like, "Mama, I'm sorry I yelled at you." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And of course, he's learned that from me because I've had to learn how to regulate myself again with no tools in my toolbox, just figuring it out as we go. Like, okay, I can't be flustered. I can't let him see that I'm having a panic attack. So let me get it together so I can model that. But we yell, like, we're parents. I do have panic attacks still. And I'm like, oh, my sensory overload, like, stop talking, leave me alone, give me a minute. But I always go back and I'm like, baby, I'm sorry. Mommy was upset. People are allowed to be upset sometimes, but I want to apologize and I hope that I didn't upset you. And so I model that, and I feel like I'm doing as best of a job as I can, but for him to get that response from the people that meet him initially, I'm like, okay, we're winning, we're doing it.
That's awesome. And I'm sure that's one of the tools that you're using to give your son, but I'm sure there are some others. So let me ask you, what are some others, some specific things that you do differently with your son so that you make sure that he's growing up feeling seen, heard, and emotionally safe?
So I have him in a private school program because I wanted him to, we didn't do daycare. He was home with me the first 4 years. So I wanted him to not be as introverted as me, but also be with a good group of kids. As public school is what it is, I just wanted him to be around kids that the parents are really into the environment that they're going to put their children in, kind of vibe. We care about who we're raising. So I've done my best. I have him on a scholarship to have him in a class. None of my siblings were in private school. Like, are you kidding? So I feel like that alone is such a drive for him, but also modeling to him that we can be business owners. We don't have to listen to, we're going to train you to do this and to think like this, and you can't have your own thoughts and you can't do what you want in life. Yes, you can. You can have your own thoughts. Respect other people's thoughts too, but you can have your own and stand on them. And to just go for whatever you want. And I feel like I want him to see that he can be whatever he wants. He's going to have the support to do that, and that I'm going to do the absolute best I can to get him there.
That is so beautiful. And really, I got, we mothers are always looking for the best for our, I mean, in this case, I also have a son. And I see how you say, like, nobody in my family, like my siblings, are you kidding that we went into, private school? And I want to ask you, how did growing up in such an environment shape your mindset about success? Because that's why you're teaching your son, being independent and stability as well, so success, independence, and stability.
I was picked on when I was little because I was the smallest, and I never knew why I was the smallest. And I wouldn't raise my hand if the teacher called on me because I didn't feel like even though I knew the answer, I felt like everyone else was smarter. So if I didn't know, I didn't want to be embarrassed. And then I realized maybe it took until like later on in high school that everyone else was a year older than me, and everyone was bigger than me because they were literally older than me. And I, at that point, talked to my sister, and we had identified that my mom put me in a school earlier than I needed to be. And so I was always hanging out with the class lower than me. And in my adulthood, that made me more dominant, and more outspoken and more driven, because I'm like, I was put into the class and I was introverted and I questioned myself. And then now as an adult, I'm like, no, I know the answer. I'm going to say it. No, I want to do this. I'm going to do it. So I lost track of the question.
No, yeah, you're going great. It's how did growing in such a environment shape your mindset about success, independence, and stability?
Yeah. So even though I was hindered with the age difference, it gave me more drive and more confidence. And that's another thing I did for my son. We did not this past Christmas, the Christmas before, they did their little recital at school, and he was the front corner on the end, and he was the smallest in the classroom. And I had flashbacks of my school pictures, and I was always the smallest one in the corner. And I was like, nope, we're holding him back. We're doing another year of pre-K. He needs to boost his confidence, and I don't want him to be the smallest one, so he's picked on. So already breaking generational curses. I'm not going to do that to my child. I want him to have confidence. I want him to feel comfortable and not think that he's the smallest or the youngest, so he doesn't know the answer. So I've already modeled that, and I've already put it into play.
Yeah, and it's very nice how you caught that and you're like, okay, let's rework it here. And Britiana, has there been a moment in your healing journey where you feel like you're finally starting to release the past? Do you feel like you had that moment?
I feel like I had that moment when I sent that to my mother, the email. I feel like I have that moment every time I move into a nicer place, buy a nicer car, I'll be superficial and say that I drive a Mercedes Benz because I get in it and it makes me feel good every day. But that's what I do for my mental health. And especially because I'm in a superficial industry where someone wants to book a luxury service and then see you pull up in a luxury car, it kind of just sells it. But it's just the tearing up. I squirreled again. I also don't remember what you just asked me.
No, but it's funny because you get the answer and kind of give me the next question, because healing is a lifelong process and you're taking steps. What does healing look like for you today?
Today, I feel like I'll circle back to the last question too. I know that I'm breaking free when I can just wake up and not think of past traumas. I wake up, I get my things done. I have my routine with my son, getting him to school. Do I have clients that day? Do I not? Like, and it's just living in the moment and not having flashbacks of everything or all of the times you've messed up in your life. So a day of just happy, calm thoughts. And that's how I know that, okay, this is working. We're doing what we need to be doing here.
I love that. And I also have that saying, happy and calm with my son. What's one of the things you wish more people could understood about trauma, healing, and these breaking cycles?
That it literally is how you program your brain, how you are going to think about it. My brothers that still live in Ohio, they don't talk to me. And the last time I did speak to them, they asked, why would you want to talk to me? You're famous. And I'm like, I'm not famous, but they think that because they see 25,000 followers on social media and that I own my own business and I'm doing what I want to do, they think that I'm this celebrity on I'm not even on TV, but they view it that way. And I'm like, you can do that too. You could have done that and you chose not to. So why are you mad at me or jealousy? I don't know, like be happy for your sister instead of being like, oh, you're too cool to talk to us anymore. Like, no, I'll talk to you. I love you. But they don't even want to have conversations with me. So.
Right. And what's that advice that you will give to someone that it's feeling stuck for being in a toxic either environment or relationship and doesn't feel like strong enough to leave or to change?
You have to wake up and you have to say, if I don't make this decision, this will be me 5 years from now. And you have to, and I tell people this when they're trying to start their own business. Other makeup artists reach out to me and they say, how have you been successful in this? And I made the choice that when I was clocking out of the mat counter one day and I opened up my emails and I had brides messaging me and they wanted like immediate responses. And for me to be present and give them the timely response that they need, because they'll just go out and book another makeup artist if you don't respond to them quick enough. I was like, I'm going to have to quit the mat counter to be able to respond in a timely manner and to give them the communication that they need to book. And so I quit and then I just dove into my business. But everyone's like, how do you quit your normal job? You just do it. You just do it. And then when you're broke because you're like, oh my God, I quit my regular job, it gives you the motivation to hustle harder and you just keep hustling harder.
Yeah.
I never thought that I'd be paying for the car that I pay for, even though I got a good deal because I'm a penny pincher and I know how to talk a good deal. But I never thought that I would drive the car that I have. And even my brother up in Pittsburgh, he was like, okay, Ashtabula, which is the town I was born into. He was like, driving a Mercedes, nice for you. But every time I level up my life, I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? I'm going to be like stressed for money now. No, it just makes me hustle harder. I just think of new ideas to keep going. How do I add revenue here? So it's making the choice, making the decision. I don't like my life right now. What can I do to change it? And then just do it. Go out and do it.
Yeah. If you don't try, you will never know. Looking back, will you change anything?
Man, I wish that I could, but I wouldn't be the same person that I am now. So there's times where I'm like, man, I wish my mom wouldn't have even had me. Like, how do you have another child when you're on welfare and in Section 8 housing? Like, why would you do that to another human to have to make them struggle their whole lives? But then we wouldn't have Forrest here. So Forrest is the light of everything, and everything has just lined up to him. And so even if I am the chaos or the destruction that had to be the, I don't know, the bumps in the roads, everything to get him here to this world, clearly he has a purpose. And I feel like everything has happened to get him to this point.
And you too have a purpose. Britianna, what would you like for people listening to this episode to take away?
That you are the driver in your life, and that no matter what you've been through, no matter financial situations, you have the power to do and be what you want to be. You just have to have the courage and the strength to get there. And we don't always want to be strong all the time. But my sister told me something that stuck with me. You get your shit handled and then you cry about it later. So do what you have to do. And then if you still feel sad afterwards about whatever you're going through, cry later. But you have to get your shit handled.
Yeah, you have to do it. Thank you for being here. I send you a huge hug.
Thank you.
I am so happy to reconnect with you. Your story is just amazing as you are. You have a purpose in life, Britiana, and you are a light in this world. Thank you for sharing your story. And I am sure this is going to inspire and motivate a lot of people. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.